Yes, good morning. It's 8:32 or thereabouts. It's Malcom Boyden. We've come outside into the drizzle. It's BBC Oxford. This is St Swithin's Day, and of course it's raining. It's July the 15th, which is a Wednesday, and how about this for a story? Well, how about this for a machine? He's a magnificent man, and here's his flying machine. The man is John Carver. He's from Abingdon, and he's hoping to go from Land's End to John O'Groats flying his bike. Yes, I'll repeat that. He's flying a bike. Now then, here's the bike in question. It's a three-wheeler. It's got sort of an engine on the back and a wing. He's got to land every 2 hours to refuel at a petrol station. He's bonkers, isn't he? He doesn't look bonkers. He looks very nice, actually. John, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Well, I've never seen anything like it in my life. I've heard the phrase, let's go fly a kite, but I've never heard the phrase, let's go fly a bike. It's ridiculous, isn't it?
This is our friends in Germany who've invented this, and they wanted to have a bicycle that flies, so they've called it a flyke. And that's exactly what it is. It's got three parts to it. There's a trike that you sit in it, and you can pedal the front wheel, and that can manoeuvre you around, and great for whizzing up and down Summertown. It's got a motor on the back, which is a massive lawnmower engine, basically.
Hold on, it's a lawnmower engine on the back.
It's a lawnmower engine on the back. Instead of two blades, you've got two propellers, and they push you forward, and that works both without the wing attached and with the wing attached. So you can whiz around Oxford. Of course, that's strictly illegal, but I can whiz around a field with the motor pushing me like a go-kart. And then the third thing, of course, is the wing, which is a parachute. Mine has a Union Jack design, and that can be stowed under the seat when I'm not flying, when I'm landing, and when I obviously trail it out behind me and push forward, the wing comes above my head. It's shaped like a banana, and it gives me lift. And at 20 miles an hour, that's when I leave the ground, and I hope that all goes to plan.
Rather you than me.
Yeah, well, just promise not to tell my mum about this little hobby.
I'm not going to tell your mum. Your secret's safe with me. Believe you me. Now, how high do you go, John?
Basically, I can go up to 10,000 feet where I start to run out of oxygen. It gets hard work to breathe.
Okay.
But it gets very chilly up there as well. And the best fun can be had actually sort of 500 feet, which is great. You can see a lot. And especially, you know, around the countryside and the Cotswolds and things like that. It can be great fun.
Is this your flying suit, is it?
I'm wearing a flying suit, which is an all-weather piece of gear because, of course, I'm going to be cycling on this trip. When the weather's not allowing me to fly, I'm going to have to cycle it. And it's painful, pretty painfully slow progress, but I can at least make progress every day in August, even if the worst of the British weather comes my way.
Have you flown this contraption here this morning?
No, this morning I looked out of my bedroom window this morning and it was grey clouds, too windy. Wind's the main thing.
Oh, okay.
So I've had to pedal it in today.
And what about landing every 2 hours to get to a petrol station? It doesn't look as if you've got much of a fuel tank there.
I've got 15 litres of fuel there, which is it's about 2.5 hours worth of flying. And then, yes, I'm not going to be able to carry extra fuel with me, so I've got to land. Thanks to my mobile phone, it's got an ingenious little application called a petrol station finder. It shows me where the petrol stations are. I land in a field, with permission, of course, and then I need to wheel it into the petrol station, fill it up. Everyone looks at me as if it's some sort of moon buggy, and then I'm on my way again.
Now, listen, I'm sure this is what the listeners are thinking as well. If this was April Fool, I wouldn't have believed a word of this, even though I can see the thing in front of me.
No, I promise you this is for real, and if only it was a lovely sunny day, I could have done a fly past over the studios today.
But not
no,
with me on board.
Not with you on board. I'm afraid it's a single-seater.
Yeah.
I'm allowed to take 4 stones worth of luggage. So if you were able to go on a diet and bring yourself down to 4 stone, we could strap you in on the back and take you for a ride.
Isn't it precarious when you're 500 foot up on a bike?
This is what my mum struggles to believe. It's actually, as far as flying goes, very safe because your parachute's always open. You can't take off the ground without the parachute being open, and you're only flying at about 20 miles an hour. So at no point are you going very quickly, and it's, you know, you can turn the engine off. I turn the engine off to land, so if I have an engine failure, people think what's going to happen, and that's actually how I choose to land. You just glide in.
Has anybody gone from Land's End to John O'Groats on a flyke before? That's a flying bike. Has anyone flown on their bike?
Well, there's only 2 of these in the UK, and so I'm pretty sure it's never been done before. It's going to be a great adventure, and obviously for charity as well, for the Juvenile Diabetic Research Foundation, and I'm really looking forward to it's going to be a great boyhood sort of challenge for me in my second childhood.
You look great. You're doing it for the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. Is that a charity that's personal to you, John?
It is. It was an obvious charity for me to choose. I've been insulin-dependent diabetic now for 31 years, really? And I'm particularly conscious of the difficulties, the impact on children's lives. So particularly trying to do this, this charity is great for trying to find a cure for diabetes in children. And it's obviously something that I'm familiar with. I've got a bit of a story as well, because during the flight I'll be needing to regulate my blood sugars, having a snack every now and again, maybe even doing a blood test and injection at 5,000 feet. But I'm used to all that sort of stuff, so there shouldn't be any problems.
Well, I think you're an absolute inspiration, let me tell you.
Well, there's a fine line between being an inspiration and an absolute idiot. Some of the boys at the school where I teach look at me as if I've got a few marbles loose. But it's been a lot of fun, and I reckon of all the boys' toys I've had, this one tops the lot.
I was going to say an inspiration or an absolute madman. What do you teach in Abingdon, John?
I teach at Cot Hill House School, and I'm in charge of IT there. And so I've been putting together a website, amongst other things, in my free time at school for this trip. Am I allowed to say that on the air?
Yeah, of course you are.
Yeah, it's www.flybike.co.uk, and there's videos on there and all the details.
Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's a flyke. You might see it flying overhead. You'll think, what the dickens is that? It's some bloke on a bike flying. It's actually John Carver. He's from Abingdon, and he's a real hero, actually. Can you get in and start it up as we go? Or is that possible?
I could do. I've obviously health and safety taken the spark plug off. But,
have you?
I can start
Stick
that
it back on. Yeah. I'd like to hear it just before we go. So that's the story. What are you going to sit in it?
Well, I was going to say, why don't you ever sit
No, I'm not going to. Well, it might take off. I'm worried to death. Just I don't want to be 500 foot up in a blinking bike. No one would in their right mind, except for John Carver, and he's raising money once again. Let me tell you, for the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. We hear about diabetes almost every day, don't we, on BBC Oxford? John's been insulin dependent for 31 years. That don't stop him. He's pulled the engine cord. It looks as if it's roadworthy to me. It looks also as if it's flight-worthy to me. I wish you bon voyage, John Carver, and have a good flight.
Thank you very much indeed.
I don't suppose you get an in-flight movie in that, do you?
No, the best I've got is a few pictures on my mobile phone, but I can only do that at 10,000 feet where I've got a bit of space, just in case I have an engine failure. It always might happen.
Brilliant stuff. We wish him well. Have a good trip. Well done, John. It's BBC Oxford. It's Malcom Boyden. Good morning. That's a story you didn't think you'd hear. Go into the pub tonight and tell your mates, I know a bloke who can fly a bike. Marvellous. It's 20 to 9.